Hey everyone, welcome back to Alchemy with Zero Phase. I'm Eric, and as you can see, I have generated what essentially is a coloring book page. I've seen a lot of people request this on places like Reddit and other places. Like, how do you actually do that? Now they have some Lauras out there, and they have some other models that are kind of designed around this. I feel like that's a little too complex. Most of these models are fully capable of generating these types of images. If you have your prompt set right, you can generate these all day long. And what I wanted to do in this video is show you, one, how to create a prompt to do this, as well as set it up so that you can set it up as a style and then change the content of that image whenever you want, just by simply putting in what you want to see in the positive prompt. This will make it easy. I love these. I do around holidays, I'll do coloring book pages or coloring pages for my nieces and nephews, especially around Christmas and Easter and things like that. But you can do whatever you want. They work really good for creating adult coloring pages, the really complex ones, depending on your wordage. So we're going to focus on this, and let's dive right into it. So the model that I'm going to use is the one I mentioned in my last video, Sahasrakotai. The image that you're seeing right now, I actually used, I think it was, Copax Timeless, the version 7 model. So, but we're going to use this one because I've already used it on that as well. And so let's get into it. So what you want to focus on is the image and what it is. I mean, so obviously the model understands the word coloring book style, but that's not necessarily going to get you black and white. And it won't necessarily get you centered like this, a nice balanced picture. And so what I like to do is I like to start off the prompt by saying centered. Then we're going to say, obviously we want it to be black and white. Okay. It's going to be high contrast. That way we get a well-defined boundary between what's black and white. And then it's a line drawing. Now, some people have said that if you put in line drawing, you're going to get things like these gradients, the shadowing. And I actually don't mind that to an extent. It helps the image look a little more realistic. Other people just like the flat line, and which is fine, but I'm going to put line art, excuse me, not line art, line drawing. Excuse me. So, and then at this point, we mentioned the coloring book style, which I think is 2 words here. Let's see, coloring. Let's say coloring book style. See if that goes. I think before, no, I've done it separate. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay. So now at this point, what you would do is specify what you want. So a lot of the times you like cute baby stuff or whatever. So we're going to do cute baby dragon. I've loved doing these because SDXL now excels at the dragons, and doing these cute dragons, kids love it. They're all about dragons. Cute baby dragon. We're not going to say anything else. Now, here's where you got to pay attention to what's going on. So if you just say cute baby dragon, just leave it at that and try to render this. You're probably still going to get an image. It may be black and white, but you're going to get a lot of shadowing. You might get a black background, which isn't necessarily what you want either. And so what I'll typically do is start specifying things that would normally have color. I will tell it that it's white. So we're going to say white. We could have said cute baby white dragon. We're going to say white scales, white background. Okay, and what else? Actually, let's do this. Blank white background. I can't think of much else for the dragon, so let's go ahead and render that. We're going to leave it at a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, I don't think I'm going to need a negative prompt on this, so let's just hit render on it and see what it does. Oh, yeah, that turned out good. It's funny, as it's rendering, it almost looks like it's trying to add color, but then it hits the rest of the prompt like, oh, no, the rest of it's, white. So here's the thing. When you render it, now you're seeing, okay, it did this one great. It's adding vegetation in here, okay? And it may be that that vegetation now has like some gradients on it or shadowing. And so you'd come up here and adjust this for that. So you'd say white foliage, white plants, or white trees. The big kicker is just adding white as the color, because then you're telling the AI, hey, it's just white. See, yeah, we're getting some gradients in here, which is fine. Honestly, this image here, I would totally print that off and give it to my nieces and nephews. They would love it. So you can change the aspect ratio, which will give you different variations on stuff. So like, let's say we maybe want something that's a little more book-like, more of a coloring page. So we're going to do a 4x5, okay? And let's come up here, and instead of just saying cute baby dragon, we're going to say in the mountains. And it adds a more detail. It puts the dragon in the mountains. But here we're seeing something. In your description, we should have said in the white mountains, because it's adding gradients, and these mountains in the background are just kind of black with snow caps, which, it's fine. But if you want the kids to have, or want whoever is going to be coloring this to have more to color, you'd probably specify in the white mountains and render it again. Okay, and this time it actually did the mountains the way I would like them to be. Now we're still getting some shadowing in here, which, again, is fine. Adds depth to the image, and there's still so much white space for them to color. You can have a lot of fun with this image. We can try a few experiments here to see if we can't get rid of the shadowing here. So we do centered, flat, minimalistic. And just see if that helps with it. But honestly, I would just stick with this. And we're going to render this one more time. I just want to see if that changes anything. If it does, great. And we'll move on to showing you how to create it as a style, so that you can just type in what you want to see and not have to worry about typing in the rest of this. Okay, so yeah, actually I think that did help out a little bit. Yeah, we're still getting some shading in here, but it's very minimized. It minimized the shading on everything else as well. So I think we're going to keep that prompt, and we're going to turn it into a style so that you can just type in what you want. So let's grab this. We're going to copy this prompt. Okay, we're going to come over here to our style editor, and we're going to type in the name of a new prompt or style. So I'm going to call this, I try to organize mine, so I start it with by saying style and then a colon, and then we're going to go coloring book image. Looks like I already got one. I think that's an older one that I used to use with a model called Stable Diffusion. A lot of details to it to get it to work with a 1.5 model, so I'm not going to worry about it. So we're going to name that one coloring book image V2. Okay, you know what? No, we're going to do SDXL, because this is the one that works with the SDXL models. Okay, we're going to paste that in there. Something I did not, because that one worked so well, I didn't really bring this up, but I'm going to go ahead and put this in anyway. Negative prompt. So sometimes with these, depending on what you're asking it and how detailed your request is, you are going to probably want a negative prompt. And so that's what I'm going to put in as a negative prompt. Color 1.3, emphasize we don't want any color. Gradients, shadows, black background. Because when you print this off, you don't want to be wasting toner or ink or whatever. So that'll help with that. We don't have to actually specify any other negative prompt when we're rendering these, so we're just going to save that. Oh, sorry, we're not going to save that yet. So now what we do is we come in here, and in order to be able to use this with anything we request, we're going to remove this part right here, okay? And and we're going to put in curly bracket, prompt, and then a close curly bracket. And that acts as a variable for whatever you put in the positive prompt when you select this style. So because we don't know what we're going to be putting in here, we can specify some things in here. We'll see how it affects it, depending on what it is you're requesting. So we're going to do white fur, white skin, white terrain, white scales, white plants. I don't know if I want to put that in. Here's the thing. The reason why is because when you're specifying stuff, it's going to include it. We'll try it. Why not? And we'll come over here. We're just going to put a 1.1 on that with a white. We're going to get rid of that. Leave the blank white background. Okay, leave that there. We're going to save it. Close. That will add it to the bottom of this list. Okay, so you see style, coloring book, image, SDXL. Adding the SDXL is nice because now you can type SDXL and anything you put SDXL on will just come up. Okay, so we're going to try this with a different image. We're going to go panda bear. Let's do this. Cute baby panda bear sitting on a mushroom. Okay, so it's going to take this and insert it into that style and then render it. Not exactly sitting on a mushroom, but that's a really good image. Gives you a little bit of stuff to color around it, white background. Obviously it's a panda, so it's going to have some black to it. That's a great image though. Give it a second here to finish up. Okay, and there's your panda. Sitting next to some mushrooms. You'd probably have to render it a few more times to get one sitting on the mushrooms. Something you could do to try and help with that is increase this to like 8 on the config scale. Gives the AI a little more freedom to kind of be creative with it or to interpret what you're asking a little more literally. We could put in other things on this. Let's see if we put in something that doesn't have skin or fur or anything. We're going to do mountain lake with cabin. We're going to do this landscape. Now I'm not specifying anything else. You know what's interesting in that image of the panda, it looked like the mushrooms had fur on them, so I'm not sure. And it took this one a little too literally. It put the cabin on the lake. And the trees, the evergreens, are going to be a little dark. I think that's just kind of the nature of that, but the mountains are white, sky is white. Everything else seems to be white, so that's good. So maybe what we do is we change this up into something else. We like doing cute stuff. Let's do Easter style anthro rabbit. It's 2 B's. Steampunk style. Switch that back up to portrait. That's a pretty good image that would be colorable. Give it a second. Yeah, so these are turning out nicely. So there's some intricate detail in the jacket. I think that's the steampunk style coming out. We get a rabbit. He's got a little bow tie. I think that's the Easter style coming out there. And you can do simpler stuff. We'll just do Easter bunny. I think the simpler the request You're going to get the things that kids are going to want to color. You can add a little fantasy into it, so that one's turning out great. You can specify Easter Bunny with basket. You can, or Christmas or Halloween's coming up. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's do. Let's interrupt that and do a Halloween one. Okay, so for a Halloween theme, I want to do a character. We're going to do a cute baby Frankenstein. Let that render out. So that's not bad. I think it's got a little too much of the negative space, the black negative space in there for my taste, but I want kids to be able to color, and it's less toner when it's printing it out. So what I would probably do is enhance that with white clothing. I don't mind the hair, but we're trying to get something that kids can just color in everything. Not bad. Not quite as Frankenstein-y as I would like it. But that's okay. We could probably get rid of the baby reference. It would actually render it better. But I just had an idea on how you might be able to try out a bunch of different themes. And so let's go over here. We're going to go over to my prompt generator, 0gen. It's already selected on Open API, my API key, and my prompt generator. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in, I'm going to try this here. Let's see. Give me a list of coloring book themes with 5 image ideas in each, period. Single 4-word descriptions for each. Okay. So we're going to make sure that it sees that and submit that. All right. So we got animals, we got nature. We could, since we're doing holiday, let's change this up a little bit. Coloring book themes, coloring book. Halloween. Yeah, let's run that. Since we now specified around Halloween, we should get something a little more specific. Anyway, what I'm shooting for here is I want to get a list, and we're going to put this in the text file prompt. Yeah, it's trying to utilize the formatting from my prompt generator instead of just giving me the list. Let's run it one more time here. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So what we can do with this is, it's obviously got 5 different categories here. We can either do this category by category, grab the whole thing, but let's just grab one category, and we're going to copy that, go over to text to image, and then we're going to come down here. We're going to select prompts from file or text box. Okay, I'm going to paste those in there. I think we're going to get rid of the dashes here. I don't think we need those. I don't know if it'll affect it, but I'd rather not worry about it. And let's see if it actually inserts these from here into our style with the variable. Let's get rid of this and hit generate. Let's see what that does. I'll let it keep recording here. I want to see what it does. So we got the bat, black bat with glowing red eyes. Yeah, and it's a pretty colorful thing we could do. The bat is filled in, so we'd probably adjust that one, but it's not bad. Okay, I'm going to let these render out. We'll take a look at them when they're done. Yeah, so I love that this actually worked. If we go through these images, some of them, kids could paint in, patterns or whatever on the spider web, but some of these just turned out really good. And we got a vampire here. Interesting, he's kind of got a buck tooth going on there. And then an owl. It is, you know, I think the training in the models for owls is pretty strong because those eyes came out yellow, you know, despite, you know, all the things I said to make it black and white and negative prompt with color, you know, in there. But yeah, they turned out great. So those are some ideas you can do for holiday seasons, for any like birthday. You could do birthdays. And now that you've got it set up as a variable, you can just plug in whatever you want. And now that we know you can put in a list of things here, you could create a list using GPT, which is what I did here with my prompt generator. But you could just go into GPT and say, give me a list of coloring book ideas around this theme. And I can just tell it to keep it limited to like 4 or 5 words each, you know. And you could come up with some really good stuff. You know, it gets me wanting to explore some more here with this. I'm going to leave the lines there. I don't want to touch those. We're going to just render that one more here. Not bad. Too much filling in, like the white clothes only applied to that. You know, I wonder if in the prompt you could specify all objects as white. Let's interrupt that for a second here. Okay, so what I did is I added in white objects, white clothing to that to see if it can kind of more fully encompass what I want to be white and just have a black outline. I'm going to try that and see what it does here. So we're going to hit generate on that again. Yeah, I think it's going to do it a lot better. I mean, obviously the cauldron is going to be black and her hair's black. Everything else is white, which is really good. That's awesome. So as you can see, yeah, we did get a better result here. More things that are white. I actually modified the prompt one more time. We might render it again, but because I noticed in this one right here, like the wizard looks great. He's got his wand and everything, but the sky is black, which is going to be a lot of ink to fill in. That one turned out great. Pretty intricate details with something like that. I don't know. It's okay. That one's great. That one's like almost like an adult coloring page. A lot more intricacy to it. And that's something you can actually do with these. You could actually create 2 or 3 different levels of detail with some of these. A lot of it's just adding in certain words, or even like an artist style will give you different results. And I'll show you those here in just a second. In fact, let's go into that a little bit. So let's go here. There's a style I want to, I think it was my old coloring book style. Oops, there's an artist and some wordage or verbiage, I don't know what you want to call it, that I used. Nope, not that one. Image. Okay, so page, black, orange. No, that's not it. Sorry, let's just jump up here because I know I've got it. It's just called extra colorful. I know that doesn't make sense. Extra colorful flare, but what I want to do is add these in to the other one. Oops. Why it keeps jumping out like that? It's really strange. Okay. So we're going, these will add extra detail and give it a little more of a flowery flair almost. And I'm going to leave this prompt in the comments or in the description so you have access to it because these work really well. At least they did on the Illuminati diffusion model. The other thing you can do if you really like the centered look, sometimes people like having the stained glass look because it gives it those extra lines and stuff, but we're just going to do this. We're going to save it. We're going to close. Now we're going to rerun this just as is with the same prompts down here. Yeah, so some of those artists are a little more geared towards the feminine. Tends to add a more flowery look, a lot more detail to it. This is very weird. She's cooking herself. We got the cats down here. Then a little bit of a darker look to the whole thing. Interesting. We'll let that render out here with some of the other ones. So as you can see, we got some pretty intricate and very cool looking pages that could be colored by adults and kids if they're really interested in it. So very fun stuff. So as you can see, you can do a lot of cool things with this. So for those of you who love coloring books or are looking to do coloring pages for kids, or maybe even to sell it on Etsy or Redbubble or something like that, these are a great way to get into that and start working on it. So if you have any other questions, I appreciate you guys joining me for this. Can't really think of anything else that I would need to bring up. You can try different models. Maybe they'll give you different style results. Lots of cool things you can experiment with on this. So like and subscribe this video. Stay tuned for more. We're going to start posting some more content. Just probably a lot of just workflows and showing people how to do specific things like this. But I love doing it, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of it. We'll talk to you later.